Happy Monday, friends. It's Andrea, and I'm back again with another story to share. Today's story is called The Hungry Giant of the Tundra. And this is a really great story. This is written by Robert and Terry Sloat. It was actually retold to Terry Sloat because this story was retold to him by a Yupik traditional storyteller, and the Yupik peoples are the indigenous peoples of Alaska. They are related to the Inuit peoples, and this is one of their traditional stories. So it was retold to him by the storyteller of the Yupik people, and her name was Olinka Michael. And she shared this story with them, and then they retold it and offered it to us in this book. So let's get cozy and hear this really great story. The Hungry Giant of the Tundra, illustrated and retold by Robert and Terry Sloat. Hope you can see that there. Okay. In a village far to the north, the children always ran home before Akaguanka, the hungry giant, came across the tundra looking for his evening meal. Let's try and say that all together, because this is they're maintaining the language of the Yupik people. So the name for the giant is Akaguaganka. So I'm going to try and say that properly. You can practice that with me. So the children came across the tundra and they rushed home because they didn't want to get caught by Akaguanka. But one night they were having so much fun outside that they pretended not to hear their parents calling them in. So instead they played farther and farther from the village. Oh, that doesn't sound too safe. Here's the picture. The smallest boy was the first to smell the breath of the giant, and in the air he heard the voice of Akaguaganka coming across the hill. "I smell little children warm in the sun. I will eat them all one by one." Oh, the boy ran to the other children. "Akaguaganka is coming," he shouted. And because he was the smallest, no one really paid that much attention to him. But soon enough, one by one, they too started to smell the ugly breath. They heard the giant's voice, and they saw the tundra darken with his shadow. "I found little children warm in the sun. I'll start my dinner with the smallest one." Oh, there's a shadow. You see a shadow over the children? And right behind the shadow was Akaguaganka. He's big. Look at that giant. The children all ran for the village, but the giant reached out and scooped them up, even the smallest one, and he carried them off to his favorite eating place. No. "Ah, what a dinner," said the giant as he searched his pocket for his knife. But giants are often forgetful, and he left his knife at home. The hungry giant sat for a long time, wondering how to keep his dinner from running away while he went to get his knife. Then he had an idea. Since giants are not very modest, he took off his trousers and he tied the legs together to make a bag. Then, one by one, he dropped all the children, even the smallest one, into the bag. You see that? He turned his pants into a sack. He put the kids in there. He tied a knot in his suspenders and he hung the trousers in a tall tree. and then he lumbered off to get his knife. Now, in the top of that tall tree was a little chickadee singing, "Chickadee-dee-dee, chickadee." Look, there's the chickadee. Do you see it? As soon as the giant disappeared over the hill, the children called to the bird, "Chickadee, with your strong beak, fly down and help us." With all the children in the sack. You think the chickadee's gonna help? Oh, yeah, I think so. Chickadee, with the strong beak, flew down and pulled on the knot tied in the suspenders. He pulled and pulled until the knot came untied. Then Chickadee held on tight to the suspenders and lowered the children to the ground. Great work, Chickadee. They all scrambled out as fast as they could, but before they ran off, they stuffed the giant's pants full of rocks and grass and sticks. Do you see that? Scooping up all those twigs and sticks and heavy rocks. They held the bag high, and Chickadee, with the very strong beak, tied the trousers back in the tree. Then the children ran off as fast as they could through the trees, and not far away, they came to the bank of a wide river. On the other side of the river stood a crane dancing on her long legs. The children shouted, "Crane with your long legs! Crane with your long legs that stretch, help us to the other side." Do you think Crane's gonna help? Crane with the long legs fanned out her tail and sat down firmly on the bank of the wide river. She stretched her long legs until they reached to the other bank, and she made a bridge for the children. Wow! One by one, the children walked on Crane's legs until even the smallest one was across the river. "Hide in the trees and wait," Crane said. Look at that. Crane with the long legs. They're walking across her legs. Well, by this time, Akaguaganka had returned to the tall tree with his knife. He was hungry. But when he reached for his pants for his dinner, all he pulled out was a rock. He reached in again, and he pulled out grass. He reached in again, and he pulled out a branch. He grabbed his pants and he shook them. Not even the smallest child was left to eat. The hungry giant was angry. He stomped his feet until the tundra shook, and then he took off down the path after the children. Oh no! Nothing but rocks and branches in his trousers. He's going off to find the children. When he got to the river, he saw Crane on the other side, fanning her wings. "Crane with the long legs," the giant hollered. "Stretch out your legs so I can cross the river." And to the children's surprise, Crane did as the giant ordered. She stretched her legs out to make a bridge for the giant. Akaguaganka started across the river. Crane's legs shook under his weight. "Hold still, Crane," roared the giant. Crane steadied her legs, and the hungry giant continued across the water toward the frightened children. But when he was over the coldest, swiftest, deepest part of the river, Crane pulled her long legs back, and with a huge splash, Akaguaganka fell into the river. And since giants cannot swim, he was carried down the river and to the bottom of the sea. There he is, splash, right into the water. train flew the children back to the village where their parents were still calling for them. And all the children, even the smallest one, ran right home. Straight home they went. What an adventure. The end. Well, that was The Hungry Giant of the Tundra. That was a great tale. You'll notice that sometimes a lot of our Indigenous stories, they're not just fun to tell, but they will have a sort of message, and oftentimes a cautionary tale. So cautionary means there's a lesson that you're supposed to learn on how to keep yourself safe and ways that you should behave. And in this story, what do you think they might have been trying to teach the children with this story? I think the parents want children to listen for them when they say it's time to come home, right? It's really important that you get home at a good time and that your parents are able to see you and make sure that you're safe and not to wander off. Yeah, and Akaguaganka, that giant might be out there, so if you don't get home in time, he might scoop you up and put you in his trousers. I also liked that the animals, their animal relatives were there to help. So we met Chickadee with the strong beak, and we met Crane with her long legs. And you'll notice that in a lot of the tales that I've read, our animal relatives are there to help us and support us, and we learn something from them. So, and we have a lot of respect for our animal relatives because they've been here much longer than we have. And in some stories, they were here before us. So I really appreciate that about this tale. So you can share with me what you liked about this one. And if you want, you can also tell me what animals that you like or that you have a relationship with. I like Chickadee. I like the way he tweets. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining in. Miigwech, Mamapi.